Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, March 22nd, 2014. My daughter Abby's birthday. Happy birthday, Abby. She's 22. This is episode 1067. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom.com saves you on your legal needs. You'll also gain access to a network of legal plan attorneys for guidance, but LegalZoom's not a law firm. They provide self-help services at your specific direction. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TechGuy to get $10 off at checkout. And by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today for a 30-day free trial. Go to ShareFile.com, click the microphone, and enter Tech Guy. And by RingCentral, the cloud-based phone system we use, just got better with the launch of Meetings, the full-service video conference feature. Zero startup costs, and RingCentral starts at just $25 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free up to a total of 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWIT. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, smartphones, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is the phone number. We welcome back from her trip to Africa, Heather Hammond, African explorer, the Phone Ranger. Hi, Phone Ranger.
Jumbo.
Jumbo.
You know that, huh?
I do, because we were in the, while you were in Africa, we went to San Diego, the safari park there. And that's Jumbo. That's what they say when you're driving in.
Oh, they do. That's adorable.
Isn't that
Good
neat?
for them, Jumbo.
It made me want to do what you did. So you were in Tanzania for two weeks?
11 days, yeah.
11 days. You had a great time?
Oh, my God. It's still overwhelming to me.
We saw your elephant selfie. We saw your lion selfie.
Yeah.
So you did good. You accomplished. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Mind sufficiently blown. Everything.
Really, was it? Oh, that's
yeah.
great. I'm so glad you did that. Well, we had a great time. Kim Schaefer filled in, well for you, but nevertheless, we're glad to have you back.
Thanks.
Because it's not the same without the Phone Ranger.
Right.
So caller 8888, ask Leo. You did miss the part where the phone stopped working in the last hour of the last week's show, and I had to talk for an hour.
May have heard about that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I guess I can talk.
As it turns out,
I can talk without interruption. In fact, it was the happiest hour of my life.
And charming Ms. Schaffer helped out?
Yeah. No, she didn't. I just did it all by myself.
Oh, okay.
All by myself. So Microsoft this week made some interesting moves. They released OneNote for the Macintosh free. This is their note-taking app. It's been around for a long time. In fact, it predates Evernote, which is the app a lot of folks use. I recommend all the time. Evernote's nice because you could take notes on one device, and then pretty much any device, and then they sync up to the Evernote website and to all your other devices. So Windows, Mac, your any mobile device, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android devices, all of that. And that's really handy to have those notes everywhere. I'll give you a good example. You park at the airport in the parking lot. You want to remember where you are. You make a little note of that, right? And now it's everything. It's on your phone. It's on your laptop. It's on your tablet. That's nice. That's nice. But Microsoft's OneNote been around longer, and Microsoft's finally, after all this time, now got it on every platform, same as Evernote. And now, so it's an interesting question. You get more benefit from it if you buy the Office 365 subscription, which can cost anywhere from $7 a month on up, because then you've got a lot of storage and so forth. It's a nice idea. It's a nice idea. It's very Microsoft-y, but if you're used to Office, you might prefer. It's got the ribbon and all of that. We think In less than a week, next week on Thursday, Microsoft is going to announce Office for the iPad, which is interesting. Office for the iPad. You'd think, I bet you a few of you thought, oh, they don't have Office on the iPad. No, they haven't. Microsoft's resisted. It's not clear whether they did it because they wanted their platforms to have the advantage over Apple's platforms. That would be a reasonable business argument, but I don't even think I just think it took them a while to do it right. And at the same time, we think that they will announce the touch-first version of Office for Windows 8 tablets. And that's going to be interesting. Everybody seems to want to move to touch. And there are a few of us. Now, maybe it's because I'm an old man, but going kicking and screaming, I feel like Office with a keyboard and a mouse, that's nice. That works. When I want to write, I'm not going to do it with the tips of my fingers on a glass screen. I guess I am going to do it on the tips of my fingers, but it'll be on a keyboard where it seems to work better. What do you think? Feels like Microsoft is almost force-feeding us a touch interface. I mean, people love the iPad. Kids can use it right out of the box. You don't need any training. They just seem to understand. Oh, you touch this and it does that. Well, that's easy. I don't know if you remember the first time you used a mouse. It's not that intuitive. Do you remember the early mice implementation all came with training? The first Macintoshes, you probably don't remember this because you're too young. The first Macintoshes had a training program that you would run so that you would understand what this bar of soap with a button on it is and what you do with it. Now it's so natural, we forget. And I think kids get the mouse pretty quickly, but there is a initial, like, what? So I move it up and then I move it down, and the mouse goes. And even Apple, as recently as just a couple of years ago, completely changed how the mouse works. They changed the direction of scrolling, and that's influenced by tablets. So on a Windows machine, when you scroll the button up, the screen moves down, and when you scroll the button down, the screen moves up. And for a whole generation of people, that's just the way it is. It made sense. Then Apple said, no, you know what? It should be more like how you use it on a tablet. When you move your finger down, the screen goes down, and when you move your finger up, the screen goes up. So they reversed it. Yeah. They had to go back and do more training. And you actually cannot start up a Macintosh until you prove that you can use the mouse. You cannot continue on until you prove that you get that. Computer should never require you to prove anything to use it. I really feel it should be more intuitive. I really do. But we are going through this very ugly adolescence as we move from desktop computers and keyboards and mice to this new touch world. And I feel like some of us are moving kicking and screaming. I don't know why you can't have both. I don't know why everything has to be touch centric. Can't we all just get along? It's challenging to me, frankly. But Microsoft has decided internally, I think, that the touch is the future. They'll announce, we believe anyway, this is the rumor. My Windows experts, people like Mary Jo Foley and Paul Thurrott, who cover this thing daily, believe that Thursday, Microsoft's announced a big event with their CEO, his first public event, the new CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Did you get the memo? Yeah, he's in charge now. Steve Ballmer just, out on the golf course. Satya Nadella will have his first event, and it's believed he will announce both Office for the iPad and Project Gemini. Project Gemini, which will be the touch-centric version of Office. It just doesn't make sense to me. Office, almost by definition, Office is a keyboard. Well, So Android or Google announced something cool for Android. They call it Android Weir, and what the Google is saying is we want to be the operating system for wearable devices. We want to be the they call it a platform in the business, the thing upon which programs sit, like a platform. We want to be the operating system for wearables. And already Motorola and LG have announced watches based on Google Android Weir. One of the watches is round. It looks like an analog face. Do you know that kids today often can't tell time from a pie face? They've grown up with digital. My daughter, 22 today. Happy birthday, Abby. Cannot read a pie face. I was talking to her the other day because she's in Mexico right now. And I'm trying to figure out what time zone she's in. And I said, well, what time is it right now? She said, well, I can't tell. I said, where's the big hand? She's 22. Big hand's on the 12. Where's the little hand? The little hand's on the 9. Okay. It's 11:45. Oh, hey, that's clever. How does that work, Daddy? Oh. Well, why should they? Why should they? Why should they know how to dial a phone or read an analog clock? It's a new world. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Hooray for Heather Harmon, the African explorer. Da 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 la 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 la. Yeah, I was on a trip and I'm back. I'm back. I should post my selfies. Of course, I was in a truck in a zoo. Oh, I don't know if it really counts.
Kind of cool.
It was so cool, and it made us want to do what you did.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, let's have dinner and a couple bottles of wine, and you'll get the full report.
So you had a blast.
You know, it's not the kind of thing I'd call blast.
Was it challenging?
Like, you know, I'll tell you something. I don't miss the rains down in Africa.
Was it raining a lot?
No, but
it was
just
very dry.
At the very end,
Oh.
It's the rainy season started like
the
night before we left.
Your timing was good.
Yeah.
And
you're in this tent and you're woken up by this thunder and lightning, and it's getting closer and closer and closer, and it's pouring. I have a little I
think that's awesome.
Blair Witch Project video of myself can you hear that? It's raining. You know, and then the next night it wasn't raining, but there's a freaking lion out back.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's fine. They can't get in a tent. You know, that's solid steel between you and the lion. No?
Oh, so I shouldn't have been scared?
Wow.
But, so there's that, and then you absolutely have to use the Thompson Safaris, I think.
They're the ones.
They're the top notch.
They're famous, yeah.
Yeah. Unless.
Would you get a picture like this?
I was not that close. I've had that experience at the Colorado
Would you get a
Zoo.
picture like that?
You know, no, because I'm just not that clever.
That's a sharp horn, but I could tell you they're good kissers, those rhinos. I love rhinos. Did you see some rhinos?
We did. We saw the big five within 5 days.
Oh, how fun.
I saw everything. Seriously, I saw everything.
Oh,
you know, just
so
when you're
glad.
like, push myself back from the table. I'm done.
I'm done.
Seen everything.
I've seen them
all. And then
all.
you'd see something
and then there's
else.
another one.
And even our guides who have done this for decades were like, yeah, I've never seen that.
What? Really?
We had good luck as well. We were a good group and we had amazing luck.
And you liked the people you were with? You weren't stuck with horrible people?
Not stuck with horrible people at all.
Good. I'm so glad. How many people in the group?
Just 10 of us.
That's perfect.
Yeah, 2 Land Rovers, 2 guides.
That's nice. It's a nice small group. You get to know the people, and it's fun because you're living dangerously.
I don't travel that well. I bloat. I'll say it.
I bloat. Yeah, I had the same thing. Traveling is hard on the intestines. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the GI does not like traveling.
And that said, the food they made us at these camps was
I'm going Thompson. All right, that's good. I'm making a note of that.
Yeah.
Because after doing this, we went to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, which is really, really good, and I highly recommend it. But after doing that, and Michael, Lisa's son, I've never seen him more engaged. I mean, he loved the animals.
You should take him on a
He's
safari.
asked a million questions. So I thought, were there any kids?
Not on our group,
Not on
but
yours,
I saw
but you
them
had a grown-up
in
group
other
probably.
Trucks.
Yeah. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Happy to say the phones are working now. We had a massive failure. You're so glad you weren't here, Heather. We had a massive failure last Sunday. It is every talk show's host's nightmare. I once did on a station up in San Francisco, a overnight. I filled in for, remember Ray Taliaferro, the great immortal all-nighter on the big talker up in San Francisco, and he took a night off, so I filled in. And of course, in the middle of the night, you either get crazies or nothing. And because I was new, nobody wanted to talk to me. That's hard work to do a talk show when no one calls. So I'm so grateful for our callers. It makes it so much easier to do this show. I do want to talk about one more thing, though, real quickly. And I saw this. A lot of my friends were tweeting and posting about this New York Times story. Claire Kane Miller writing in the New York Times. The story is how United States tech companies are suffering because of what the NSA has done. Unfortunately, I was a little... the headline, and I know Claire Kane Miller did not write the headline. Typically the writer of the article is not responsible. They've rewritten it. Good. They changed the headline. Because the original... This is very interesting. Very telling that they noticed this. The original headline said, Edward Snowden's revelations cost U.S. tech companies. And I think that implied that something Edward Snowden did cost money, but really they've rewritten it, which is right, to fallout of NSA spying cost U.S. tech companies. Snowden was just the guy who told us about it. You got to acknowledge that it was the NSA that did it. And one of many side effects of this is the United States government relinquishing control of the internet to a non-governmental group or a multi-governmental group. And that's controversial. Newt Gingrich is terrified about that. We'll talk about that, what it could mean or doesn't mean. But also, United States tech companies are seeing a huge drop in sales. Microsoft has lost customers. The government of Brazil has said no more. They weren't fond of Microsoft to begin with, but that's it. IBM has had to build data centers, billions of dollars worth, overseas because international customers don't trust data centers in the United States. They say, well, we know those are compromised by your federal government, so we can't put our data there. Not a surprise. And I think an unexpected consequence, obviously. I don't think the NSA planned that this would cost us, but it has. It has. And I'm glad that the New York Times changed the headline from blaming Edward. Can't blame the messenger. Blaming Edward Snowden. I guess you could say, well, if Edward Snowden hadn't revealed this, hadn't broken his oath of office and revealed what was going on at the NSA, we might not know, and so everybody would blithely go along in ignorance, continuing to use U.S. companies. But I think eventually they would have figured it out. I don't know if you can really blame Snowden for revealing what we are doing as a country. 8888 ask Leo. Let's get to the phones. I got calls. I should take calls. Should I start with Mark here?
Yeah, do. Yeah. Take advantage of the fact that they're there right now.
As long as the phones are working. Mark in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I've got a question about Google Voice.
Yes.
I just got a Nexus 5 phone, and my plan was to use that T-Mobile plan where it's you have 5 gigs of data, and I was hoping I would be able to use, or I expected that I would be able to use Google Voice and use those data.
No. Google Voice, and this is I made this mistake. A lot of people make this mistake, is not voice over the internet. It's not using data for the voice. It's using voice for the voice. So you will use voice minutes with Google Voice.
Yeah. That's a problem because that T-Mobile plan only has 100 minutes.
Right. You're going to use them up. You can use Skype. That'll work. Tango will work. Viber will work. There are lots of solutions that use data only. Google Voice is not one of them. It uses your phone minutes. And they say that, but it's not obvious. And I didn't figure it out at first.
Yeah. I didn't figure it out till I downloaded the Google Voice app and then I wasn't able to use it like I thought I would.
Yeah. Now, voicemails, if people call you and you don't answer and it comes through voicemail, that's all data.
Oh, okay.
So just don't answer the phone. That comes through as data. But outbound calls through Google Voice use T-Mobile minutes, and they do on all the carriers, and that's just the way Google Voice works. It is not a voice over data solution.
So these another alternative you mentioned. Am I able to use that as a regular telephone?
Yeah, a great way to do this would be to all of these will cost you some money. Skype out, Skype in, and Skype out, for instance. Skype is widely used. Will work on your phone and will act as if you are placing calls. You'll even have a regular phone number. I use one on iOS called Talkatone. Same idea. It will, and it actually ties into your Google Voice number, but it uses voice over the internet as opposed to dial-up. So if you want to continue to use your Google Voice number, Talkatone is one to look at.
Okay.
There are solutions to this. In fact, one of the reasons I use Talkatone is because I wanted my iPad, Wi-Fi iPad, to be used as a phone, and it is. I installed Talkatone on. You have to pay. Well, you don't have to. They have a free version. You can try it out. And then your Google, it ties into your Google Voice number, so you don't have to change your number, which is nice. You don't have to tell people, oh, to use a different number now.
Yeah.
And then when people call you on Google Voice, it rings your device through the internet, and you can talk through the internet. And it works quite well. So there are solutions.
Okay.
There are solutions. Now, I should mention, and I don't want to scare people, but there are rumors floating around that Google Voice is going to be, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen, incorporated into Google Hangouts. And if that happens, they did that with Google Talk. They've done it. They've slowly folded all of their services into this Google Hangouts thing. And each time they do that, we've lost some features. I will be devastated. I live on Google Voice, but let's face it, it's a free service. And it may well be that Google at some point says, yeah, we're not going to support it in the same way, or it's going to work differently. So the thing that's unfortunate is I give my Google Voice number to everybody. I wanted that to be my one phone number for life.
Exactly.
And then when I get a different phone number, I just change that in the Google Voice interface. That number still rings. It's beautiful. And you can do one thought you could do what you're doing, but you can't. And it may be that if they move to Hangouts, you can. So we'll watch with interest to see if they do this. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Leo.
Yeah, so stay tuned. But yeah, isn't that, people should know that Google Voice is not a voice over internet solution. And this is so complicated. I feel like there are a lot of landmines in technology, but that's what I'm here for. Think of me as a map to the landscape, so that you can thread through the landmines, and that's one of them. And I think that you're not alone, Mark. A lot of people who got Google Voice were a little disappointed. Now I don't know that Google Voice is going away. I use devices that use Google Voice like Obihai that no longer work. I don't know what Google's going to do with it, but something to be aware of. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson coming up. So Talkatone has already said they'll stop. That's disappointing. Saturday with the tech guy. This portion of the tech guy show now. If I do make it my theme song, I probably shouldn't sing it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. You're actually not bad.
I can hold a tune in a bucket.
You can hold a tune and you can keep pitch. It's good.
I'm not running over to American Idol or The Voice anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you know.
Scott Wilkinson knows where his bread is buttered. He is he is our home theater guru and a really nice guy. And you find his work at the AVS Forum, where he's the editor-in-chief. He also does a great podcast for the Twit Network, my network, at twit.tv/HTG for Home Theater Geeks. We love you, Scott.
Oh, thank you so very much.
So I noted a Kickstarter project that I was very interested in about a week ago. In fact, I immediately kicked in $400 on this one.
Holy smokes.
Well, that's how much it costs to get a Pono, P-O-N-O, player. Neil Young started talking about this. In fact, I saw him on Letterman more than a year ago.
Yeah.
Saying the music we're listening to these days is overcompressed. You know, we're listening to MP3s on little junky earbuds, and we're not really experiencing the music. And musicians are the ones who are first to say this because they experience music live. And you've mentioned this many times. You don't listen to music at home much because once you've played inside a band, in a band, or in an orchestra, you know how it's supposed to sound.
Right. Or if you go to live concerts, which I go to live orchestra concerts and other things all the time. So you're right. You're exactly right. Listening to music live and then coming home and listening to it on almost any system, no matter how much you spend on it is, I don't know, I find it a little less satisfying.
Well, here's one of the things Neil says happens. And in fact, I've always laughed at the people who said, no, you got to have a vinyl record. But the reason a vinyl record works is it's uncompressed. It is a recording of the music, admittedly not on a perfect medium, but it is not compressed in any way. Even a CD, and this is the important part, even a CD is compressed because the music is sampled. In the case of a CD, it's sampled at 16 bits resolution. That means a possible choice of 65,000 different settings, 44.1 thousand times a second. Now that sounds like, boy, yeah, that's a lot of measurements. But inevitably, if you're slicing music like bologna, no matter how thin, you're still missing some of that music, right?
Well, that is the theory, absolutely.
So and Neil says we're going to do something a little different. Music, when it's recorded nowadays, it is recorded digitally.
Yep.
It's not typically recorded in an analog fashion on reel-to-reel recorders and then moved.
Except in a few rare cases, but generally speaking, that's true.
There's some fanatics that still do it that way.
Yep.
But he says when we record as high as 24 bits instead of 16, and sampling it instead of 44,100 times a second, 192,000 times a second. Yep. And so he says there's an audible difference and almost an emotional difference in how you experience the music when you hear it at full frequency. But the problem is, of course, no player out there, including your computer, really can handle. Well, I guess your computer could.
Your computer probably can. You're right.
But your iPod doesn't, for sure.
Well, no, certainly not. The number of bits that you use to record each sample determines the dynamic range that you can reproduce or represent in the digital file. And the number of the sample rate, 44.1 thousand times a second, 48 they use often, 96 is very common, and 192 is kind of the highest. A few fanatics also talk about 384,000 times per second.
Wow.
That determines more or less the frequency range that you can reproduce. Now, the reason that CDs went way back when, they were specified to be 44.1 thousand samples per second at 16-bit resolution. That was calculated to be enough to represent all the audible frequencies. You've heard it many times, I'm sure, that humans can hear from 20 cycles per second or 20 hertz up to 20,000 cycles per second. Now, 20,000 cycles per second or 20,000 hertz, 20 kilohertz it's sometimes called, is really only perceptible to those under, say, the age of 12. After that, we start losing our high frequency. But in any event, that's the theoretical limit. And so there's this theorem called the Nyquist theorem, named after a guy named Nyquist, I guess, who said that if you sample something digitally, you can represent the frequencies that are half of the sampling rate, up to frequencies that are half the sampling rate. If you go above that, then you're going to start to get weird artifacts called aliasing. I won't go into what that is, but basically, if you sample at 44,000 times a second, you're going to be able to represent frequencies up to 20,000 hertz, or 20,000 cycles, which is the upper limit of what we can hear. Now, the problem with that is that when you record at that frequency digitally, you have to apply what's essentially a brick wall filter. You can't let anything above 20,000 hertz reach the recording equipment, because then you have this weird artifacting going on. Now, very steep filters like that cause problems of their own. So if you sample higher, at a higher rate, up to what Neil Young is suggesting, 192 kilohertz, then you can use a much more gentle filter, and it doesn't introduce these other weird problems. Even though you can't hear anything above 20 kilohertz, you don't run into the same problems. And there are people, many people, audiophiles particularly, who claim to be able to hear the difference between normal CD audio and this high resolution audio. And there are plenty of record companies that are specializing in this. AIX Records, my friend Mark Waldrop, who's a PhD in audio engineering, records everything at 96 kilohertz with 24-bit resolution and releases it in that format. And when you play it back on a high-quality system, it is better. It's smoother. It just sounds better. But you have to have a high-quality recording or playback system, which is exactly what this Pono player from Neil Young is all about.
You know, of course, we then, to add insult to injury, take that even 4416 and compress the heck out of it with MP3. So Pono is also uncompressed using a lossless compression. It's compressed but lossless using something called FLAC. They will not be copy protected. They probably will cost a little more, but they're saying the prices won't be much more. And, of course, it'll be a limited availability because not all artists will want master quality recordings, unprotected master quality recordings of their music released to the world. But the good news is many will. And, you know, there are dissidents, as I have been. You know, I've always mocked the analog, vinyl enthusiasts. But you know, it's
vinyl has its own limitations. You know, it's got wow and flutter and pop.
And I don't like the scratchiness, frankly.
Exactly.
So if you're interested, the Pono music, they've done a Kickstarter. It won't be out till this fall, and we'll certainly, I'm sure, both Scott and I will talk about this when it comes out. But if you're interested, they've got a Kickstarter. It's got another couple of weeks. They were trying to raise $800,000. They've raised
$800,000.
They've raised $4.6 million.
I know. They got $800,000 in like the first day or something.
As soon as I heard about it, because I've been hearing about this from Neil Young. He's been talking about this for more than a year.
At least a year, more than a year.
And I've been anxious, and I admit it may not sound better. You'll have to use very good headphones. The player itself is a triangle. You'll have to
it's not something you're going to put it in your pocket.
Yeah, you have to buy new music because, of course, you don't. It will play your old music. But anyway, I thought it'd be worth mentioning. Pono, P-O-N-O music.com. Scott Wilkinson, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Pono is like Hawaiian or something.
It's Hawaiian, yeah. And I forgot to mention, I noticed here on the website, the hardware is being made by a company called Air, A-Y-R-E, a very high-end audio company.
Yeah, apparently they're using a DAC, a digital to audio, or digital to analog converter that's they say, many agree, is one of the best. Yeah. That's part of it, is a good DAC, frankly.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the part you just mentioned at the end there was you also need a good pair of headphones.
Yeah. Although the Edomotics that I use routinely are one that they recommend. And and they also have an output for Sonos, which is nice. So I can put it into my stereo.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it has 2 jacks.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's, the reason they say that the reason that this thing is kind of has a triangular cross section is that they need the room to put the components, the high quality components in there, which may very well be, but it certainly doesn't make it convenient, to put in your pocket like an iPhone or something. But
and people say it's expensive, but it's not. You know, you can buy one for $300, and that's less than an iPod was when it first came out. I mean, I don't think that's an outrageously expensive. Actually,
I don't either.
$200. They're all gone, but the first 100 backers got them for $200, and I think when they come out for retail, they'll be $400. Still less than the early edition iPods.
Sure, but then I don't know. Maybe you know how the music will get distributed. How you'll get
you'll have to buy it. Well, first of all, there already are places you can buy 192 music.
That's true. HD Tracks at least does 96. Certainly iTrax does as well, ITRAX.
And then they're going to have the ponomusic.com site will be a store.
Of course. Well. Of course. And the other interesting factor about this is that because storage is now so cheap, makes it possible because, this uncompressed or losslessly compressed high resolution audio files are going to take up more space, a lot more space than MP3s. MP3 compresses music down to like 1/10 of its original size. FLAC only goes by a factor of 2.
Right.
So, it's better than totally uncompressed, but in terms of storage size, but it's still a lot more storage than MP3s require. So, but storage is cheap now. I mean, and I assume this thing has solid state, not a physical hard drive.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't have a huge amount of storage. I think it's 128 gigs, but it's enough to put. It comes with 2 albums from the artist that you choose. So I chose Neil Young. So it's going to come with 2 high quality albums on it as well. I don't. Cool. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
I'm not telling
I can't
other
wait
people run out and buy it, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and I will let you know. And I'm sure Scott will. And we're old guys,
absolutely.
and if we can tell a difference,
yeah, if we can tell a difference, then there's really a difference there.
Yeah. So.
Exactly. UJ in the chat room, would it probably be best to get a Pono player with a high-end set of headphones and a high-end headphone amp? Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if you need a high-end headphone amp.
I don't either. Now that I'm thinking about it,
there is an amp in it, obviously. So
right, and it's probably high quality. I mean,
well, that's the whole point of this is they're putting in really good component stacks and so forth. So
right, and again, if it's Air that's doing the hardware, which it is, then I would have no trouble trusting that it's going to be really, really high quality.
Yeah.
It is not another Walmart MP3 player. That's for darn sure.
Right.
Oh, good. Waikiki Guru, of course, knows that Pono is Hawaiian for true or righteous.
Righteous. That's right.
Righteous.
It's righteous music.
Man, it's righteous. Yeah. I love it.
If you, admittedly, there's a confirmation bias, et cetera, but if you watch the videos of all these musicians listening to it, they're all just like knocked out. And I think that's the key. Okay. Hang on, got to go back to work. See, a song like this, which is a great song, by the way, I would like to hear it in the highest quality possible, as if you were in the room. If you could do that, I mean, of course, that's the goal of audiophiles everywhere. If you could do that, you would be even happier. What psychoacoustic, we were talking about this Pono player that Neil Young is going to make available later this year. What psychoacousticians say is that, yes, there's what you can measure, but then there's this kind of unmeasurable emotional quality that live music and perhaps well-reproduced music gives you that you just don't get in highly compressed music. And you literally can make you happy. So that's what I'm curious about. Pono, Pono, music.com. I'm not recommending you buy it because we don't know, and I'll certainly have a review of it, and we'll make sure Scott does and others as well to try to see if it does make any difference. The good news is it's not so expensive at $400. In fact, they were selling for $200 and $300. $400 will be the retail cost. The Kickstarter was a little less, but for $400, that's comparable to an iPod, a higher-end iPod. Certainly what the iPod cost when it first came out. You will still have to buy good headphones. So add that. That's several $100 too. 8888 Ask Leo. We move on to our next call of the day. Who should I? I'm wondering because I see line 1 is the next one again. But didn't I just take somebody? I don't. That's not your fault.
I forgot to rearrange that.
Oh, can rearrange that? You're magic.
Yeah.
Should I go to RJ?
Yes.
RJ in Lake Forest, California. Hi, RJ. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, can I first make a comment about your singing?
Yes.
Your singing is like a few bars short and it's missing the key, kind of like a prison.
My singing is like a prison. A few bars short and missing a key. I like it. What can I do for you, RJ?
Okay, I have a Samsung, the dumbest phone I could buy years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in upgrading to getting a smartphone. And I remember, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago, listening to your show, and you were saying something that iPad or whatever was coming out with a new smartphone with a 5 or something like that in it. I want something that's really good and easy to learn.
Do you have a computer at home at all, or?
Yeah, I have an Apple computer.
Okay.
It's a desktop.
How recent?
It's a 2000, June 2000. It's running Snow Leopard.
Okay. So if you're in the Apple ecoverse, certainly the iPhones, the Apple phones are a good choice. A lot of people love them and will never switch. I think for your first smartphone, and maybe it doesn't make as much sense if you're a Macintosh user, but your first smartphone for a lot of people, especially if they use Windows, is a Windows phone, believe it or not, because it's elegant, it's simple. The only negative on the Windows phone is it doesn't have all the applications that the iPhone and Android phones have. But if you've never used a smartphone, you won't miss them. So I've just named 3 different platforms. I guess one could include BlackBerry, but why? So there are 3 different platforms or operating systems you're going to look at. iOS, that's Apple's. Android, which is made by a lot of different people. It comes from Google originally, but it's made by a lot of different people. And then Windows Phone, which is made by Nokia and is a Microsoft product. Those are the 3 different choices you have to make. And really, overall, the functionality is pretty similar. They all have, obviously they have phone capabilities, but they have contact syncing, they have calendars, they have the ability to play games on them. You can take pictures with all of them. Some have better cameras than others. Are those some of the things you want to do?
Well, yeah, I'd like to be able to do, use it kind of like a computer, have all these different options.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for many people now, this is their computer. It's the computer in their pocket. And that's the big, you nailed it. I'm glad you said that because that's the big shift. These are no longer phones. They're computers. Last week I interviewed the man who invented the mobile phone, Marty Cooper. He was at Motorola at the time and literally made the first phone call walking down the streets of New York in 1973. And he even said, they're not phones anymore. He said they're so much more than phones. They do so much more. But that can be overwhelming, especially if you're coming from what was a phone.
What would you recommend? I mean, like an iPhone, I would kind of like to be with, stay with Apple.
Yeah, get an iPhone.
I love
get an iPhone. Yeah. I think the iPhone...
Now, did they just come up with a new version?
The most recent version came out in October. It's the iPhone 5S. They will have an iPhone, we don't know, 6 probably, sometime this year, but typically it's in the fall. It probably isn't worth waiting 6 months because it'll be different, it'll be better, but it's not going to be hugely better. They can't. We've got if you're buying a phone now, what you're buying into a mature product. If you bought it 5 years ago, there was a lot of ways to go still. But these are fairly mature. So whether you get a Galaxy S5, which is the Samsung phone that's coming out this month, or you get an HTC One, the new One, or these are Android devices, or you get an iPhone 5S, or if you get one of the Nokias, the 1520, which is a beautiful phone, or the Icon on Verizon, you're going to get phones that are very similar. We've reached a certain state in the state of the art. Who's your carrier? That's also important.
My carrier I've had for many, many, many years, Verizon. I love Verizon. They've treated me very, very well.
So you don't want to leave. They do have the iPhone. They have the new Nokia Icon, which is a really nice smartphone. You know what I do is I go into a Verizon store and look at them. For instance, the Icon has a bigger screen. The iPhone is the smallest screen in the category still. And that may or may not be important to you. Some people, you don't want a giant screen. I can't carry it. It's too big. I don't want it in my pocket. Some people do. So, and you can't tell till you try it.
Okay.
But if you say you want to stay in the Apple universe, you're using an Apple, I see no reason not to get an iPhone. The only thing I'm worried about a little bit is that you have such an old Macintosh that so you're on Snow Leopard and let me make sure that the 5S works okay with Snow Leopard. Because that could be a potential issue.
Okay.
As long as you have, looks like 10.6.8. That is an issue because what happens, and it will come up soon if it's not already a problem. Apple stops supporting older versions of the Macintosh with iTunes, and you have to use the latest iTunes to use the new iPhone. It's very frustrating. I guess the truth is because they've moved away from iTunes, I like to use it for backup and stuff. You don't have to. You don't even have to have a computer anymore. So that's probably less of an issue. I would say for you, it's your first smartphone. There's nothing. iPhone has the best choice of applications. It arguably has the best camera. It's an amazing camera in it. Verizon offers it. The Verizon iPhone's nice because you can travel with it. It's unlocked. I think you're probably good with an iPhone.
So the Verizon iPhone is the Apple iPhone?
Absolutely. It's the 5. Now, there's two choices. There's the 5C, which is last year's model in a new colored case, or the 5S with the fingerprint reader. And since you're getting a new phone, I'd probably get a 5S, especially since you're concerned about what next generation phones might do.
Okay.
I think you'll
fairly
be happy.
Expensive?
Yes. oh, we didn't mention that. Yes, but since you're a Verizon customer and you're renewing, you'll be locked into another 2 years, but you're happy, so you don't mind that. They'll subsidize it. That means it'll start at $200, which is not horrible.
Yeah, right. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay?
Okay, well, keep on...
Not singing. Thanks, RJ. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Coming up, Paul in Palmdale. He lost some stuff because his hard drive got reformatted. Again, good backup's a good choice. We'll talk to you in a second, Paul. More to come. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the website, techguylabs.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening pleasure, Scott Wilkinson. Scott will take over the next few minutes of the show. Go ahead.
I sure do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Always happy to be here in the chat room with all you guys and gals. We've been talking, Sibelius 2 and I have been talking online about the Pioneer Soundbar. He went to a Best Buy and it was sitting on an end cap in the main store, not plugged into anything. And the salesperson gave him wrong information. He said that the soundbar and the subwoofer that comes with it had to be connected by a wire. And it's simply not true. They do both have to be plugged into an AC outlet. That is true because they both have an internal amplifier. Now, in some cases, an amplifier can be powered by a USB bus or something like that, but not in this case because the soundbar, all it's getting is audio signals from the TV, either by optical digital, which certainly can't carry any power, or analog, the red and white RCA plugs, and those certainly don't carry any power. So it needs to be plugged into a wall. That's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. But they don't need to be connected, the soundbar to the subwoofer, they don't need to be connected by a wire. That's totally wireless, absolutely. James, VA3 JPX in the chat room, is asking, am I running any processing on my Heil mic? The answer is no. All I'm doing is sending the mic straight through to a Mackie Onyx Blackjack, which is a mic preamp and a USB interface. So that's all I'm doing. I am using the proximity effect, which is when I get close to the microphone, it tends to boost the low mids and giving it more weight, giving the sound more weight. Sibelius 2 said, no, he said both need power. Yes, that's true. Both need power. But they don't need to be connected to each other with a wire. They both need power outlets. Let's see. The Gadget Priest is saying, saw a projector today that seemed to be projecting upward from about 2 feet away from the wall screen. Seems like a great space saver. Are they any good? Well, yes and no. I wouldn't do that unless I had to because it requires some sophisticated either optical maneuvering or electronic keystone processing, what it's called. And keystone processing is a very bad thing. But it does help correct geometric distortions at the expense of reducing resolution and detail in the image. So what are called very ultra short throw projectors, they're useful. They're very important for certain things. LG makes a product called the Laser TV, which is an ultra short throw projector that sits basically on a counter or table or something right next to the wall, credenza, shall we say, and then puts a 100-inch screen on the wall and shoots straight up almost and fills that screen. I haven't reviewed it. I've only seen it at CES, which is a terrible place to evaluate any kind of video performance. But I think it costs $6,000 or $7,000. You get the screen. It's a special kind of screen and this projector. And the good news about ultra short throw projectors is that because they're right up against the wall, no one walks in the light beam. Right? So if you've got a normal projector at the back of the room firing to the screen at the front of the room, somebody could easily walk through the beam and disrupt the picture and get blinded, and it would be a real drag. So, if you need to have a situation like that, then they're useful. But I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have to. James is asking about phantom power on my microphone. No, because it's a dynamic microphone, which does not require phantom power. The Onyx Blackjack does provide phantom power if you need it with a condenser mic, which I actually have just been experimenting with a Countryman over the ear, what they call an ear set mic, because I'm going to be doing some videos where I need to be able to move my head around. But as you can hear, if I do that with a stationary mic, the sound changes dramatically. A lavalier mic, one of these little black mics that people clip onto their clothes, would work better for that. But I decided I wanted to try what's called an ear set mic, which is a little thing over the ear and a boom that comes down. And that's a condenser mic and does require phantom power. So the good news is that the Onyx Blackjack provides that. Sibelius, he didn't think that the woofer needed independent power. It does. It has an amplifier in it as well. We're talking now again about the Pioneer Soundbar, the SB23W. Which SP-SB23W, which comes with its own subwoofer, and it needs its own power as well. Cargoplex is saying, buyer beware with HD tracks. I was mentioning HD tracks as a source of high-resolution audio files. Some tracks on Beck's new album, so says Cargoplex, are upsampled MP3s. What? Oh, my goodness, that would be horrible. I mean, geez. Boy, if they're doing that, then that's really, really bad. I should look into that because that's a very good thing. Abstruse is asking, is there a good or at least a decent dynamic microphone in the $100 price range? Can't justify dropping $300 on a Heil. Well, that's too bad because the Heil mic is fabulous. But the perfectly standard and good, universally accepted dynamic mic is the Shure SM57 or 58. I forget which one is the vocal. There's one of them's a vocal mic, better for vocals, and one is better for instruments. But they're both dynamic. They're both in the $100 range. So depending on what you need it for, if you need it for a mic, for a vocal mic, let me see if I can find that real quick. I can tell you, it's the Shure SM. I'm going to look that up now here. SM58. 58 is the vocal mic. The 57 would work as well as a vocal mic. And as I say, they're both in the sort of $100 range. $99 at Sweetwater. 109 at Musician's Friend, but it comes with a stand and cable. Anyway, that's the deal there. Let's see here. What's the best 40-ish inch HD TV? Depending on your budget. That's always the question. Vizio, the 2014 Vizios are probably going to be really, really good. In fact, somebody in the chat room, Dr. Mom, I think, one of her kids or somebody she knows got a 48-inch Vizio 2014 E480i. I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm sure it's really very good. I was so impressed with them at CES. Jeff N. says they use Countryman for Twig, so I'm not at all surprised. Music to my ears. Does anyone sell non-4K full array HD LCD TVs? Yes, Vizio.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Thanks so much.
Have a great week.
You too.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and smartphones and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Outside of those areas, use Skype or some other voice over the internet, and you'll be able to reach us, and we could talk to you. We do get callers from all over the world, which is nice. Paul is in Palmdale, our next call of the day. Hi, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, how you doing, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. And just to let you know, the trend is continuing. I have a 14 and a 12-year-old. They can't tell time either.
Isn't that interesting?
It sucks, I think.
Don't they do it in school now where they remember we had the little things with the movable hands, the pie faces, and the big hands, and they don't do that anymore in school?
No, they probably can't afford it.
Yeah, right. It's too expensive. They have to have iPads instead.
On a cloudy day, they can't do a sundial.
Yeah. There's another good one. Sundial be useful.
Well, I have a problem here. I had a friend come and help me, and he didn't really help me. I had a bunch of movies on an external hard drive, and because I don't like my kids playing with my DVDs.
Yeah. It's great if you've got young kids, you put them on a hard drive and put the DVD aside.
Right.
And you've got a master you can always make a copy of.
And we also like to, we do little camping trips in the backyard, and I can take the laptop out there and just the external hard drive and play it.
Yeah.
I don't have to bring out my DVDs.
Yeah.
So my friend came over and accidentally, finger quotes, formatted my external hard drive.
What a jerk.
He didn't do it on. He actually felt really bad and spent $30 on a program to try and recover it. I'd
feel bad too, but how do you accidentally format a drive?
Because I think he was trying to format the DVD.
Oh, Lord. Don't invite him over anymore.
Yeah, and he was just in the wrong place. So he spent $30 on this site that he found, and we ran it, and it didn't work. The only thing it did find was some document that I had already gotten rid of. But all my movies are gone.
Wow. So the reason that is because an erase just changes the first letter of the file name and then says to the operating system, this is available for reuse. So erasing files doesn't erase any data, generally speaking. Format's a little more tricksy because it now erases the table of contents. It doesn't overwrite everything, usually. So some of the data will be there. Maybe that $30 program's not smart enough to get all the data back, or maybe the data was in some way damaged and can't be retrieved. There are free programs that will do that. Is that what you're asking, how to do it?
Yes, I don't want to have to rip and shrink and everything all over again.
Yeah, well, let's try. I mean, I can't...
25 movies on there.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's a pain. You've got the masters, though. That's the good news.
Yes.
So I recommend a program called Recover. If this can't recover it, nothing can.
That's the one he got.
Ah.
And the only thing, because this was a used hard drive, and it had a bunch of documents and things like that, so I formatted it and put all my movies on it.
That's fine.
The only thing that Recover brought back up is one document from originally, years ago.
Huh.
All my movies are gone.
Huh. Now,
I
don't know why he bought it, because it's free, but... Okay.
Yeah, I don't, because he felt bad.
He wanted the professional version, and it's $25. Make sure, I'm a little nervous that he didn't get it from the right spot. If you Google Recover, you see a lot of other places that offer it that aren't the right place to get it.
Okay.
So try going to PIRIform.com. This is so important, folks. We say it almost every show. Always download these programs from the original source. not these other sites. In fact, you'll see 2 ads on Google from other locations, Wondershare and Software Watcher. The reason they're willing to pay money to get you to download a free program is because they're going to put extra adware on top of that. So always go to this company that, and same thing, download.com offers it, File Hippo. Don't get it from those places. Figure out who created the program, the publisher, in this case, Piriform, and get it directly from them. Get it directly from them. So I'm going to presume he did, but maybe he didn't, in which case he might have gotten an old one. He may have also installed something on your system that you don't want. Your friend should not be invited to touch your system. You can have him as a friend. Just don't let him touch your system anymore.
So it's PIRI.
.com, yep. They make a lot of very nice utilities. The free version of Recover just doesn't come with support, that's all.
Okay.
But that's fine. It does everything it did. And that's a good freeware program for recovery. If it can't, then that means the format deleted something. You make sure you go enable deep scan. Your friend did it. Don't. This guy's a nitwit. Do it yourself. Make sure you do the enable deep scan because it has to. It can't look at what it's looking at as a table of contents. It can't look at that because that's been erased. The file allocation table's gone. So.
Yeah, I just find it crazy that it found some 8-year-old document instead of all my movies that were put on a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's odd. That's odd.
So I'm wondering if I just have to redo everything.
If he did a full format, then he erased everything.
Oh, man, it was quick.
It was quick? Good.
It was quick.
The quicker, the better. The quick format doesn't erase anything. It just...
it was done in a matter of seconds, but to restore it through this
took
program,
hours. Yeah.
It took 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it found nothing.
Yeah.
It says I have all my memory available. There's nothing on it.
Yeah. Do the Recover and do a thorough deep scan and get it from the right place. I got to emphasize that for people. Hey, good luck. I'm sorry. If that doesn't work, then you're going to have to re-rip.
Oh, man, you know how long that takes?
I know.
Okay.
I know. The quick format is quick, and that's because it doesn't erase anything. It just rewrites the table of contents. The table of contents is not needed to recover the data. The data is still there, but it's a lot more time-consuming to recover it because you have to figure out which sectors go with which and so forth. And do not, as somebody in the chat room said, I think you would know this, Paul, but worth saying, always recover to a different drive, not the original. Because as you recover, if you recover to the same drive, you're erasing as you're recovering. You don't want to do that. Somebody in the chat room saying there's another program from a Linux program called Test Disk. That would, the nice thing about using a Linux program is you would boot to an alternate operating system. So the operating system just gets out of the way now. But that's going to be a lot trickier. And this is why good backups are your friend. Now, in this case, I wouldn't recommend Carbonite. If you have 125 movies, it's so much data. It's not that Carbonite won't accept it. It just take you forever to upload it. That's where you get a second drive. Once you get this recovered, if you do, copy them. They're cheap. Second drive, copy it. Bring that drive to work. Now you have a good backup that's untouchable, and your friend cannot fix it for you. Wow. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. I got I really want to emphasize this because there's so much junkware now being offered by sites that one would trust, like cnetsdownload.com. If you download something from there, you're going to get all sorts of stuff put on your system, ads and stuff, and it's terrible. There are a few sites where you can download files safely, but my strong recommendation, get it from the publisher. And if you can't, then that's because the publisher no longer supports it or they're out of business. Don't use it. It's so, especially in the Windows world, there's so much stuff that the companies are gone, but it's still floating around on these download sites. Please don't. Please don't get it from there. You'll be very sorry. But the problem is, and if you look at Google, and by the way, they've changed how their search results look, and that's a little more confusing than it was. But if you look at Google and you search for Recover, R-E-C-U-V-A, you'll see the first results, which are ad results, will be for sites you don't want to use. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls right after this. Our show today brought to you by LegalZoom.com. Oh, I love LegalZoom. We wouldn't be a business if it weren't for LegalZoom. Well, I guess we would, but LegalZoom made it a lot easier. You know, this is National Start Your Business Month. And LegalZoom can help you get started by creating that LLC. That's what TWIT is, an LLC, or an S Corp or a C Corp, for $99 plus filing fees. Get your trademark to protect your brand or your logo. You might say, oh, I don't need to protect that. Yes, you do if you're a blogger and you've got a handle. You know, even in the chat room, some of your handles, you want to protect that Dr. Mom, right? LegalZoom can do it for you. Last will and testament. And, you know, even though LegalZoom is not a law firm, they can connect you. They do self-help services, but they can connect you with the right attorney through their legal plan. They've pre-negotiated rates with attorneys in almost every state. You can read the attorney profiles and unedited customer reviews to get an idea of which attorney is right for you. And there are times, for instance, when I was doing the LLC, you have questions. Should I be an LLC or should I be an S Corp or a C Corp? What's the difference? What state should I incorporate in? Those kinds of things. It's nice to be able to call up and say, hey, what are the advantages and disadvantages of Delaware versus California, for instance? LegalZoom.com. To celebrate National Start Your Business Month, LegalZoom is going to offer you a free 3-month trial of the all-new QuickBooks. Another thing we use that's very, very important. Keeping your books is almost 90% of business. It makes it so much easier to run your new business with QuickBooks. It's a $119 value, and it is free when you enter Tech Guy in the referral box at checkout. You'll also get $10 off. Visit LegalZoom.com to save on your legal needs. Wills for $69, LLCs for $99 plus filing fees. Also, get access to a network of legal plan attorneys for guidance. Don't put off the things you need to do. Go to LegalZoom.com now. Use the discount code TechGuy. LegalZoom.com, discount code TechGuy. You'll get $10 off at checkout. And for this month only, don't forget to get a free 3-month trial of the all-new QuickBooks. LegalZoom.com. Use the offer code TechGuy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, something you'd like to know about. That's what I'm here for. I got an email. I get a lot. I get the same silly phishing scams you do. This one looked almost real. Yeah, I always look for little grammatical errors. And this one looked so close to real. I think it was claimed to be from Skype. Let's see if I can find it here. Because it was such a clever scam because it took advantage of a feature in email that I really don't like. So I think it said, this it had the Skype logo, looked very real. It said, your Skype credit is about to expire, which I've seen before. You need to log on to Skype to verify it, or something like that. Maybe it was Netflix. Might have been Netflix. Doesn't really matter. What happened was it said, click this link. And the link on the email said Skype. So one would think, Skype.com. Okay, I'm going to click that link. It might even have said Skype.com/account. So and if you click the link, you don't pay close attention, your browser pops up with a Skype login. It looks just like Skype. You log in, except it wasn't Skype. And this is a failing of a certain kind of email called HTML email. You should turn it off. But and most people don't, because they want to see pictures in the email. They want to see links. They want to see images. But it makes email very dangerous because it hides the actual link. It's very easy in an HTML email to put a link to Skype.com/accounts that goes to evilhacker.com. And that's a little scary. Because unless you're paying close attention in your browser to the address, you don't know. You think, well, I clicked Skype. It said that, skype.com/accounts. And there's my account login. And you log in, and now the bad guy has stolen your Skype credentials. It would work for anything, your bank, anything. If you are supporting HTML email, and you'll know you are because you see images in your email, you see fonts, you see bold, you see italic. Most people want that. And by default, most email programs have that turned on. Then you have to be extra careful if you click a link in an email. You are really vulnerable. Some email clients, if you hover the mouse over the link, it will tell you what the link is. Some it'll show you at the bottom of the page if you're on a browser, if your status bar is turned in. But most people aren't paying attention. Really possible, very, very important to, in the browser, before you log in or fill out a form, look closely at the browser address bar. That can't be faked. Well, I shouldn't even say that. There are more sophisticated attacks that can even fake that. But an attack like this, which is a simple email attack, you'll see hacker.com or whatever the bad guys. Somebody sent me an email today saying, I've just been phished by Apple. How could that happen? And he got a pop-up that looked like it was from Safari saying, fill out this form. And if you look closely, it does look like it came from Apple. And it says, Dear Safari user, congratulations. This is the giveaway. I don't think Apple would ever do this. You've been personally selected for today's anonymous survey. We've got an exclusive award for you. And the giveaway, if you look, but you have to look really closely in the URL, the top of the bar there, where it shows the address, it says safari.apple.com. Boy, that can't be fake, can it? Well, wait a minute. Look closely, because it isn't really safari.apple.com. It's safari.apple.com-reward.in. The actual, and this is what I think gets a lot of people. The actual URL is not apple.com. It's com-reward.in. That is not Apple. But if you just look at it in your browser, it looks like safari.apple.com. You know what? I'm going to send this, and we'll put this in the show notes because I want you to see this. Because even I might be fooled by this. But that is a phishing scam. And if you don't know that dash doesn't mean, hey, we've ended the address, you might think the address is apple.com. But it isn't. It's com-reward. Boy, is that sneaky. I've gotten emails from claiming to be from Twitter that when you go to the website to log into Twitter, it's TVVITTER. And the two V's together look a lot like a W if you don't look closely. So even looking at the browser the browser address, if you're not careful, can really get you bit. And if you get one of these from a bank or from PayPal or somewhere where there's money, you could actually give a bad guy access to your money. So no, you didn't get phished by Apple. I didn't get phished by Skype. I got phished by a bad guy pretending to be Skype. Actually, I of course, did not click the link in the email. Be very careful about clicking links, whether it's on Facebook, an email, in an instant messenger client, because those links can be what we call in the biz obfuscated. They hide where they're really going. Olivier, Newport Coast, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Olivier.
Leo, quick question. I'm about to buy an 80-inch TV.
Oh, how nice.
Yes, very excited. And I'm between the Vizio 240 hertz or the Sharp LC80LE857U. And there's quite a price difference.
Yeah, Vizio has made its mark by offering good quality TVs at a much lower price. They have historically been considered a second-tier manufacturer. You've got your Sonys, Sharps, LGs, Samsungs, Pioneers, Panasonics of the world. Those are the first tier. And then right below them, the second tier, Vizios. But the truth is, I think Vizios are quite good and probably good enough for the money. Both TVs you're describing are what we call LCDs.
Yes.
They both are LED backlit, so sometimes people will call them LEDs. Now, the 240 hertz on the Vizio, what that's offering you is something I don't personally like, but you might like. There is one flaw to LCD televisions. They're slow. The screen pixel response time is sometimes 4 or 5, as many as 9 milliseconds. That is how long it takes for the pixel to go from all the way off to all the way on and all the way off again. Now, that you might say 9 milliseconds. Why, that's faster than the blink of an eye, and it is. But it's slow enough that motion and action sometimes look blurry. They don't look as crisp as they can. So what manufacturers have done is they've added frames. Instead of the normal 60 frames per second of a progressive scan television, they do 120 or 240. But they do it via interpolation, so it looks a little plasticky. I think the Vizio is probably fine. Just turn that feature off. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm Derek in Petaluma, California. Hi, Derek. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Hey, there's a Luddite still using XP. And I had a problem a couple of weeks ago about not getting full screen on my Chrome browser.
Oh, yeah. Did you call, or is this another one having the same problem?
Yeah, I called.
Okay. Did you solve it?
Well, I solved it, and I think I found out why.
Okay.
Google announced that they're no longer supporting XP.
Well, that would do it. Nobody's supporting XP, including Microsoft.
Right. So I have to use XP because of Legacy Lab.
Yeah.
App I'm supporting. But I found a workaround in Google. There's an extension called Full Screen Anything, which you can load into Google Chrome. And any video you start, you just click on the little logo up in the top right of your browser, and it makes it full screen with no problem at all.
Good.
And it's available on Chrome. You just go to extensions. It's called Full Screen Anything, and it solves the problem on every video.
So that solves your problem, and that's free. It's in the extensions library. You can, if you have Chrome, you just go to the settings and extensions. So I had suggested that maybe it was acceleration turned on or off. That didn't solve it, huh? Going into your desktop.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
then I noticed that Google just announced that they're no longer supporting XP in any way. So I think that might have been what happened.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you found something, Derek. Thank you for sharing that for us.
Okay, well, if anybody else got any problem, it's an easy extension. You know, you just start your video, click on the icon, and it'll full screen.
Yeah. That's great. Full screen anywhere. I appreciate it. Thank you for the tip. Vlad in Canyon Lakes, California. Hey, Vlad.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. First of all, I want to tell you that my wife and I have been pretty regular listeners to your program for a while, and we've learned a lot.
Thank you.
So,
thank
you.
What can I do in return for you?
Well, just to give you a little bit of background, I used to be a huge supporter of the Palm phones.
Ah, the good old days.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but okay.
Yeah.
No, they were beautiful. You know what? I really liked those. I agree with you. Palm OS was pretty sweet.
It was great.
Yeah.
And the best part of it was I was able to synchronize it with my computer so I could keep all my information on it and work on it on my computer or on my Central. And a couple of years ago, I got talked into switching to an iPhone. I do not like the iPhone, and we just got rid of that. And we now both have Galaxy S4s from Verizon.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
And my question is there anything that I can do to get my data from the phone onto my computer, not necessarily synchronize it, but at least like to print a hard copy of my address book? I run my whole business on my phone. We run a property management company, and so I like having my vendors in one place, my tenants,
Vlad, this is all designed to do it, and it'll do it much easier than it ever did on the Palm. The problem is you have to recontextualize in your brain. So you're used to the old ways of having a program called the Palm Desktop, and you'd plug in your Palm phone, and the Palm Desktop would run, and it would synchronize, and then you'd have it on your desktop and your phone. That is so old school. Throw that out of your mind. Yes. Now that you've gone to Android, and this would have worked with the iPhone as well, you want to use Google to synchronize everything. Google Contacts, Google Calendar will do it all for you automatically. You'll have a copy online that you can go to. You'll have a copy on your desktop. You'll have a copy on your phone. A change in any one of those three places will propagate to all the other places automatically and transparently. You can, of course, print it. You can do everything you want. What you want is everything synchronizing with Google. Are you afraid of that?
There's something in my mind that
I understand. That's the trade-off. Is Google offers these wonderful services for free, but you have in return you're giving Google this information. I personally have no problem with that, but I understand some people do. That is by far the easiest way to do it, though, and it is the way I recommend most people do it.
Is there any way to do it with my own software so that I do not have to go through Google or a cloud or anything?
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
A pain in the butt, but yeah, you can buy software that will sync. What do you use on the desktop? What kind of computer? Are you Windows?
It's a Windows. We're running a Windows 7.
Okay. And you want to synchronize from the phone to Windows 7. Actually, I don't know if there is. Because the issue, what you want to do is synchronize the Galaxy S4 to Windows, bypassing Google. You can't, by the way, you're already giving Google everything just by using the S4. You understand that, right?
Well, I'm figuring that out. I've only had it for a few days.
Yeah, because you have to have, in order to use an Android phone, you must have a Google account, or it's very hobbled. I mean, I guess you could do it without it, but it's very hobbled. You do know that your internet service provider sees everything. Everything that's transported over the web is visible to people. Okay, Samsung has a program called Keys. That's right, Kies.
Yeah, we just downloaded that this morning.
That's Samsung's solution, because Samsung doesn't want you to use Google for another reason. They want you to use Samsung. But if you feel that you trust a Korean company with your data more than you trust Google, go right ahead.
Well, that's the thing. We looked at Keys this morning. We played with it a little bit, and it's basically the same thing. It's still letting somebody else have the data. And this is what I miss about my Palm phone is that I could keep all the data.
Well, the reason it worked with Palm is because it was 100 years ago, and nobody stored anything in the cloud. There is a program that will do this. The chat room has told me called Companion Link. And it will sync from a variety of desktop solutions like Outlook and Act and even Palm Desktop to Android, iPhone, everything. It's got a huge number of synchronization programs. Companion Link. I'm not familiar with it, but it looks like it's going to do exactly what you want. And so what you don't want, and I understand this, and I think a lot of people I share your concern, is that any of your data be stored on the internet by anybody, Google, Samsung, anybody. What you want is a world without the internet. And I understand that, and you're absolutely right. Should any of this stuff be stored on the internet, it's virtually public or potentially public. I trust Google, but if you don't, then you're worried that Google will see all this. It's just that increasingly the world is moving away from this notion that all the data is stored on a device. And as soon as you have a device like your smartphone that is, connected 24/7 to the internet, you have to move mountains, frankly, to not have this stuff go up to the internet. AirDroid is a Google program that will manually copy the files from one to the other. And I use AirDroid and I like it. But I understand that what we're trying to accomplish here is that nobody outside your phone and your desktop can see your stuff. So hard to do. I guess my attitude is, well, so what if they see my stuff? But and frankly, I get so much from Google by using Google Contacts and Google Calendar. A lot of people say, well, Google's fine now, but what if they, get sold to, massive BigBrother.com? And so what? Really? What exactly is the downside? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by ShareFile. I personally love having stuff in the cloud because it makes it very easy for me to transport it, to move it. If you are a little nervous about sending stuff through the email, you probably should be. Email is public. In fact, there are security concerns. The SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, the HIPAA rules. There are various government regulations that require people who are in the financial services industry or the medical industry to protect that data. And attaching a file to an email is exactly the opposite. It's actually against the rules in some circumstances. That's why companies use ShareFile all the time instead of email attachments. There are other reasons why email attachments are a bad idea. That's how viruses often get into your computer, so I always say don't open attachments. Often they're so big that you can't, actually send them. I got a 2 megabyte file, three 2 megabyte files the other day, and I thought, boy, it's amazing how much we send through the email. So much better when you use ShareFile. Look at all the companies that use ShareFile. Many of the Fortune 500. I use it myself, and I'm just a little guy. I'll show you my ShareFile account. I use ShareFile because I have to send audio files to various radio stations as I, record them, ads and bumpers and all of that stuff. And I used to send attachments, and I used to use a consumer service, but I really find that ShareFile is so much better. This is my ShareFile stores. Notice it's branded with my logo. That's because I use the ShareFile sync program that automatically synchronizes these two folders. Here's two folders on my desktop, you can put them anywhere, that are automatically synchronized. So when I record audio, I put it in these folders. The ShareFile sync program automatically copies them to the ShareFile cloud using SSL. They're securely stored up there too, completely privately. And then when it comes time, let's say, for me to send a file to somebody, or I can do it very easily. So I'm browsing through this. I can do this, by the way, they have smartphone apps as well, so you can do this from anywhere. These are the voice tracks I send to various radio stations. There are quite a few of them. So let's say I want to send this to KVOT. There's a couple of things I can do. First of all, you can assign privileges to various people so that they can download and upload and so forth. So people at the Premier Radio Networks have access to this. But I can also just click a file and say, I'm going to send that. If you have the Outlook plugin, it looks just like attaching it in the email, but I'm using this just from the web. You can either create the email on the web or do as I do and create a link. And I'll show you why I want to show you this, because this shows you the various permissions. Require recipients that are name and email before downloading, how long that access lasts, how many times they can download it. Then when I click send file, I'm going to get a secure link. See, HTTPS. And I can copy that link. I'll put that in their email. When they click that link, they don't have to have a ShareFile account. They see my branding, and they see a big button that says download. It could not be easier. And this works. And I'll tell you, I'm sharing files with all sorts of different people with varying levels of expertise, so this is really nice. I want you to try ShareFile right now. Visit sharefile.com. You'll see a try it free. Actually, you see 3 try it free buttons. There's only one that will help us. I want you to, they make it a little hard. I want you to click the one at the very top of the screen where it says podcast listeners, click here. And eventually they're going to ask you, for the link, the promo code, say tech guy, if you would, one word. Do select your business, okay? Because I think that you're going to see the customizations for your particular field are great. 30 days free, sharefile.com. Please use the offer code TechGuy. Click that link right at the tippity top of the page there so that we get credit for it. Sharefile.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Chris is in Irvine, California. Hi, Chris. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo. I have an iPhone, and I usually clear the emails every day, and I had a little problem with one of my emails and got it corrected. Now when I turn on, I have 10,947 emails. And I'd love to clear them all, and I have a life. I don't want to do it one at a time.
Easiest way would, who is your email provider that you're logging into? Is it a Google account or?
It's
or is it your ISP or?
It's a private one.
Okay.
You mean where my email name is from?
I don't need your address. Just
Right.
who is your host? Who provides your email service?
I think it's called Network Solutions.
Okay. So they're probably a pop mail provider.
Yes.
And there are a couple of things you can do. You can delete the account, go on to your Network Solutions account with another computer and download all the mail.
Okay.
With a pop solution, once the mail is downloaded, unless you say otherwise, it'll be deleted from their server.
I got it.
So you can either delete it by just go log on. You must have a web interface, yes?
I hate to say you're talking over my head.
Okay. You might be able to go there in a browser on a computer.
Right.
Do you use a computer to get your email?
Yes, the same email either goes up to my office computer or my iPhone. Office computer doesn't have this problem. Only the iPhone does.
Yeah. So the reason is all that mail is still on the server. So the iPhone's saying, I see all that mail. By the way, it's not downloading at all.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that. It's only downloading the last, and you can set this 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever. That's a setting in the iPhone. It knows you don't have unlimited space, so it's not going to download that entire 10,000 message database. If you want to get rid of that, if you don't want Network Solutions to have that data anymore, you just want it on your desktop computer, next time you're at your desktop, look in your email settings, the email program you use to get the email, and there's a box that says leave mail on server. That's what you've been doing. Don't do that, and you won't have 10,000 messages. You'll have 0.
Got it.
So once you do that, you don't even have to change anything on your iPhone. It's not going to download those all anyway.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Jeff in Fullerton, California.
Hello?
Hey, Jeff. Leo Laporte, the tech
on,
guy.
quote.
Hey, whoa. Hey, Jeff.
It was off.
Hey, Jeff.
Volume.
Hey. Hello, Jeff.
Obvious what it is.
Hey, Jeff. Roger in Allentown, PA. Hi, Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Leo. The centrality of my question focuses on my comment/question about my perceived inherent superiority of touch screen of push button or old wheel interfaces on portable MP3 players, but also extending to operating systems. Now, we've seen that up through Windows 8 here. We have increased enslavement to the touch screen to replace the mouse enslavement device, which are kind of
Nobody's going to give you a click wheel on a PC.
Well, these are kind of like negatives compared to keyboard accelerators, which many are still available, but damned if you know how you can find them out because they removed the underscores under the menus.
So here's the problem. There's roughly 1 billion computer users in the world. Each one of them likes a different way. So what's perfect for you may not be perfect for them. And unfortunately, companies have to make decisions about what they're going to implement. A click wheel, which no longer exists. It was Apple's invention. It was on an iPod. It costs money to implement, and it's only good for certain things. It's not going to be around anymore.
Yeah, but everybody on the portable MP3 player,
doesn't matter. They don't make it anymore. So
was on the old Fuse player, but now in the Fuse Plus, they went to the touch screen, which everyone hates.
Well, I disagree. You hate it, Roger. I understand you hate it. I would disagree that everyone hates it. In fact, I would say most people think touch is more accurate because you touch it. But the problem is they have to make these devices for more than Roger. And so they are doing the best they can to find the right devices and the right interface. Now, I agree. I think Microsoft, for instance, overdid touch. That's what's wrong with Windows 8 is this kind of mishmash of both touch and mouse. There is no perfect user interface, but unfortunately, you're buying a mass-produced product. It's like saying, Lay's potato chips would be just so much better if they had 1/3 the salt. But good luck. If you can convince Mr. Lay to do that, that's all more power to you. But otherwise, I don't know how you're gonna get them that way. This is a mass-produced society. Although I gotta say, one of the things that's very exciting about the new world is that new technologies allow us to be a little bit more handmade, oddly enough, more artisanal. Look at beers, for instance, and cheeses our foods now more increasingly kind of satisfy a variety of needs by having small boutique manufacturers. And I wonder if that might start happening with electronics as well. 8888 ask Leo. We're going to continue in just a bit. I appreciate the thoughts, Roger, but good luck. Good luck convincing Fuse to change that. In fact, good luck keeping Fuse in business, because I think they're probably pretty much gone. iPhone owns it all. Wait a minute. Look at that. Scooter X in the chat room is pointing out that thanks to my request, Frito-Lay has now reduced the salt in Lay's potato chips by 1/3. Who wants that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Moving on to Tom in San Jose. Hello, Tom.
Hi.
Hey.
Leo, sorry.
That's all right. Let the party continue.
So I heard you guys talking about the Pono from Neil Young.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you'd heard about TRI, the Tamalpais Research Institute. Bob Weir started it. And
Bob Weir, of course, the great percussionist for the Grateful Dead. He is doing amazing things with music, including building a beautiful streaming studio, state-of-the-art performance studio up in Marin.
Right.
They broadcast live. Does he do this in high quality?
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, he's on YouTube. How can you watch the high quality stream?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I saw it on a CBS program, and they kind of highlighted, the studio and stuff.
I've been wanting to go down there. So the Grateful Dead have always been huge supporters of high quality audio. They were notorious for having the best stage sound system anywhere. And I love it that Bob is continuing this tradition. I'm gonna just turn off your mic for a second because your phone, because it's a little noisy. But I love it that Bob is continuing this tradition. He's broadcasting live video and audio concerts in high quality. It's tristudios.com, and I'm curious as to how he's doing the high quality. This is, I think, the point of Pono, and I think it's a movement going on from musicians. Musicians, because they perform in a space surrounded by live music, know how good it can sound, and they know how bad the music on an iPod, heavily compressed with cheesy headphone sounds. And they're really trying to get us back to the good stuff. And I applaud that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So it looks like they have a Roku channel. We need to do a show. We need to do a show on these guys. I'd love to. They're just down the road a piece. This is state of the art, boy. They're using EX3s. That's funny. That's kind of overkill, but I'm glad they're doing that. Yeah. See, I don't know. The high bitrate streaming is still going to be probably lower quality than we're talking about here. The compression is so significant. Yeah, it's AAC audio. The compression is so significant to do video. It's probably good compared to what others might be doing, but I doubt very much. We gotta do a show with them. We gotta talk to them. Our show today brought to you by RingCentral. RingCentral. I love RingCentral. It's our phone system, and I know sometimes people go, what's the big deal about a phone system? Well, nothing if you're at home, but if you're a business and you've got to put phones on 30 desks, and you start thinking a little bit about what you're doing and what your choices are. That was the choice I was faced with I should say, were faced with a couple of years ago when we built these studios here. Because we didn't have a phone system in the old cottage. We didn't need one. I just made everybody use their cell phones. And after everybody said no, we asked around. Russell told us about RingCentral, and boy, was he right. We do stuff in the cloud, so it made sense that we would have a cloud-based phone system as opposed to a big old PBX in the basement. That didn't make sense. I liked that we're zero startup costs. I didn't really want to spend money on that. And it's as little as $25 a month per user, which is very affordable. They get long-distance minutes, and they get a lot of nice features, things like voicemail in their inbox, their email box, faxes, send and receive from email, all through the RingCentral system. We have a great auto receptionist. If you call our 800 number, it'll greet you. It'll give you a directory. It really couldn't be easier. Now they've added, and this is amazing, they've added meetings. This is one of the things that I like about something like a cloud-based system is you can upgrade it in the cloud. So you get features on these systems just kind of automatically. Meetings allow face-to-face meetings in high definition, share desktops or documents with anyone, anytime, anywhere, on any device. It really makes RingCentral an all-in-one solution. It couldn't be better. I think you're going to like RingCentral. All-inclusive pricing under $25 a month per user. You can try it right now with our special 30-day risk-free offer. When you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free up to 20 phones. 800-543-9980. That's a number just for my listeners. 800-543-9980. Or you can just go to ringcentral.com and use the offer code TWIT. Right there. Radio listeners, TWIT. RingCentral.com. I'm telling you, now I know most of you aren't interested in buying a business phone system, but if you are, or you know somebody who is, tell them about it. Really the best. RingCentral.com. Use the offer code TWIT. We use consumer-grade off-the-shelf cameras. These are the Canon Vixias. We were using HF10s. I don't know what we're using now, but they're under $1,000. The thing is, cameras are not that important. A good HD camera, you don't need to buy EX3s. That's way overkill. Because the stream. So this is 1080p capable, but you don't stream 1080p. We stream 720p. So these cameras are better than the studio cameras we used at Tech TV, much. And they're like 1/20th of the cost. Now, one thing you can't stint on is lighting. You got to have good lighting because these cameras, like most digital cameras, don't do well in low light. And I don't know if for cafe that's suitable. In fact, one reason they use those EX3s is because they do better in low light. But digital is notorious for poor quality in low light. If we stream 1080p, people complain enough about the stream with 720p. If we stream 1080p, nobody will be able to watch us. Right, Tech TV was SD. But consumer-grade HD camcorders now are as good as anything you need, I think. You don't need to buy an EX3. Unless you've got special low-light requirements and so forth. They never came back. Video never came back with a better solution, so we still use Skype. Yeah, that's right. We're looking at Link as being an all-in-one point-to-point transfer. Johnny Jett will be on in a half an hour. Yeah, I bought a camera on eBay once. I got ripped off, so this is not that Vixia. Not the model we're using. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, hour number 3 of the Tech Guy Show, in which we talk about computers, yeah, the internet, okay, but more like smartphones and home theater and, gadgets of all kinds. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, or use Skype and call us. We'd love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. Derek is in Palm Springs. Hi, Derek. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Maybe this is a stupid question. Maybe it isn't. Right now, off of my receiver, I run a fiber optic cable for sound.
Yeah.
From my TV to my receiver.
Yeah.
As opposed to having the HDMI's in the receiver up to the TV.
Yep.
So which do you think is better?
Doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't matter?
the same.
Same
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
With the fiber optic cable coming from my TV to the receiver, I kind of see a little sound, like a sound lag.
Yeah, that would be the difference. So both are digital. So in theory, the data is if it's getting there at all, it's getting there intact. But barring setting at 40 feet or something, if it's a short throw, they're going to be identical in terms of quality. However, because it's HDMI carrying both video and audio, I'm guessing, I'm not sure for sure, but I would guess that there'd be an attempt to synchronize those. If you set it through a separate channel, in other words, an optical cable, you're getting the same quality, but there's no way to synchronize audio and video. It doesn't know about the video.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but all receivers have a delay capability, because what happens is video takes longer to decompress, so the audio will tend to get ahead, and there'll be a slight difference in lip sync. But almost all receivers will have a way to slow down audio by a millisecond or 2 or 3, so that the lip sync is perfect.
And I just don't know how to set that up.
Yeah, it's somewhere in your settings. It depends on the receiver. It's funny because we are humans. We're very, very well tuned to even a millisecond, a thousandth of a second difference is enough for us to say something's wrong. Because this is what we're so good at, is the brain is so good at seeing faces and understanding stuff. And so slight difference in lip sync can really bug you. In fact, we used to get calls all the time from people who watched TV over satellite or other systems where there was a slight difference in the lip sync. It drove them crazy. Eventually you get used to it. So if you're not getting better quality because you're using that optical cable, it's still digital coming out through the HDMI to the receiver. You might try that. You might say, just use the HDMI. I've already got the connection. What am I using a separate connection for? It's the same data packets. They're just going through a different channel. If you don't want to, if you don't want to do that, then look for a way to delay the audio and just try different settings. And all receivers have this capability because this is a common problem. Jeffrey in Santa Ana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, this is Jerry in Santa Ana.
I'm sorry, Jerry. I put an F there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for taking my call. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I need your help, which is why people call.
Okay.
I'm 67 years old. My wife and I are easing into the maybe 20th century digital age, and we currently have no internet.
Oh, wow.
When our son went back to Sonoma State, he disconnected us, and we're too stupid to get it on our own.
Why I oughta?
You've heard of that before.
You rotten kid. All right.
Don't have any. We've been, investigating DSL and a number of other people, and one of our large electronic stores locally here currently has a 10-inch Lumina. Let's see, 2520 4G tablet through AT&T.
Yeah, those are nice. The Lumia 2520s are quite nice.
Are they? Okay, and it's at an excellent price. It's $90 with their activation.
Yeah, because you're going to be paying them $50 a month for internet access for the rest of your life.
Well, that's what one of the questions really. They said, this is it. I don't know if I can say the name of the company, but it doesn't make any difference. $15 for 200 megabytes.
Yeah, because 200 megs is nothing.
Or 3.
Yeah, you're going to forget the 200 megabyte price.
Right, you can't even dial up for that.
Yeah, that's a teaser.
Okay.
And a lot of companies do that. T-Mobile gives it to you for free because they know, hey, big deal. You're never going to use. You're always. So 3 gigs is more like it now. Right. Remember, you're getting internet only to that tablet. It won't be through the rest of your house.
That was my question to them, and they said it's exclusive to that tablet.
Yeah.
We do have a laptop, but without internet, obviously, it's useless. So.
And this won't help.
And it won't. Okay. So we still need to get something like DSL or a hotspot or whatever.
Yeah. Now, what did your son have hooked up?
Well, I don't really want to say. He apparently, we thought he had...
He was borrowing it from the neighbors, wasn't he?
Sir. We thought he had AOL.
You punk.
That's right. And thank goodness I didn't go on any sites that I shouldn't have gone on.
Oh, it's all right. It's fine. He's a little wiseacre.
Oh,
he probably has a good career in technology ahead.
Well, yeah, he's in San Francisco working now, so hopefully he'll ease into that.
Yeah, Sonoma State has a great computer department. So
if you can find any $200,000 homes up there, we'd be happy to join you.
Good luck.
Petaluma is beautiful.
Yeah, we love it up here.
But anyway, also my Nexus 7, again, same store, has a Nexus 7 32 gigabyte that they call the previous generation.
Don't get that, no.
Okay.
The Lumia is a better deal. That's a brand new one. It's Windows RT, comes with Office. It's a great little device. I love the Lumia, but it doesn't give you internet access throughout the house. It's just the Lumia.
So just for that one.
Now, the Verizon will also sell you something called a MiFi, which is a Wi-Fi access point, uses that same connection, and you can share it with up to 5 devices.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Verizon. Okay.
Yeah, or whoever. Anybody will sell you one of those. They're wireless access points. You can also, depending on how almost everybody has 2 choices for internet access. One's through the phone lines.
Right.
One's through the cable lines. DSL uses the phone lines. And then whoever your cable company is may offer internet access as well.
Right.
Generally speaking, cable companies are faster and pricier.
Okay.
They're also more inconsistent because it's a shared connection. DSL may be slower, but is often much more consistent in the total amount of bandwidth, just like day in, day out. But the problem with cable companies is sometimes everybody gets online at night and suddenly it slows down a little bit.
Right, right.
So it's like you're sharing it with your
any
neighbors.
kind of cable.
You don't have cable? It's not an option.
Yeah, we just have an antenna.
Yep.
And that works okay for us.
It's not an option then.
All righty. Well, it sounds like DSL...
DSL would be one way.
Go to get started for sure.
And then you'll get, with the DSL company, they'll provide a wireless access point. You certainly should connect with our sponsor, DSL Extreme, but you probably have several choices in your area. So
very fine. Well, as usual, we listen frequently, and you help us out a lot. We should be a lot further along than we are.
No, that's all right, Jerry. I'm glad you called. I'm glad we can help you out there.
Appreciate it, sir. Have a great day.
All right, you take care.
Heather's wonderful, by the way.
Well, you don't have to tell me that.
I'm sure I don't. Take care.
Thank you, but it's nice to hear. Mark in Indio, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
Leo, hi. Hey, let me start out by saying whenever I can, I catch your show, so it's not quite often.
No, that's good enough. Doesn't have to be every day.
When I'm able to catch. Now, I'm sure you've covered this because some time ago I heard you discussing it that XP is going to be unsupported.
April 8th will be the last update Microsoft will offer for Windows XP.
Okay, so let me preface this by saying I'm self-employed, so it's feast or famine with me.
Yeah.
So it's all about the money. And I'm just wondering, I heard you say something about Linux.
I'm going to give you 2 routes you can go, depending on how sophisticated you are.
Well, I'm novice.
Yeah, I understand. And Linux is often a little bit of a challenge, a big challenge for novices.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah. So Linux is a free operating system, and it's supported by the community, which, believe it or not, is quite good and quite active. And so it's often more secure than Windows or Macintosh. However, you can continue to use XP if you know what you're doing. And if you stay tuned, I want to kind of emphasize what's going to happen in a month and what's not going to happen in a month. We'll talk about it when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So we were talking about this problem that is coming square at us in about, 2.5, 3 weeks. April 8th, the second Tuesday of the month, as always, Microsoft will update its operating systems. Patch Tuesday, we call it now. Second Tuesday of every month. Usually those updates are fairly important security patches. They fix problems in the operating system that might allow bad guys access to your stuff without your knowledge. In fact, sometimes without even any action on your part. That's what makes them so scary. They call these flaws zero-day flaws. That means that even on the very first day of their discovery, they're being used by bad guys. they can be quite severe. We've had some very serious flaws, and in almost every Patch Tuesday, there's one or two fixed. April 8th, next Patch Tuesday, is the last time Windows XP will get any fixes. Now, there are some people who will continue to get fixes, volume licensees, that is big companies with many, many thousands of users who pay a fairly large fee, in 6 figures and up, will be able to get fixes. So Microsoft's still doing the fixes. They're just not offering them to the general public. At least that's what they say. And that's, it's 13 years old, the operating system, Windows XP. It's been a long time. I don't think you should, it seems not unreasonable that a company at some point could just say, hey, that's it. We're not going to do any more fixes. Get a newer version. But there are lots of people like our caller who have XP machines. Some of them purchased as recently as a few years ago. Windows XP was still being offered even a few years ago on netbooks. So they're not old computers, and they can't afford to get a new computer. There are others who use XP, like a caller earlier today, who have to because the software they use for their business only works on XP. This isn't unusual at all. And perhaps you've seen the news stories, the headlines, 95% of ATM machines in the United States, 95% use XP. Yeah, would. So XP is very much out there. Almost 1 billion computers, almost 1/3 of all Windows machines are still using Windows XP. 1 billion? No, I'm sorry, 500 million. I doubled it. Oh, it's only 500 million computers. Come on, Leo. I think it's fairly safe to say that there are bad guys out there who have ways to attack XP machines they've been holding on to. They don't want to use them now because there's a chance Microsoft will fix it April 8th. They're going to wait till April 9th. And then it's release the hounds. And they'll continue to find problems. In fact, ironically, Microsoft will continue to let them know there are problems because very often the problems they fix in these Patch Tuesdays affect all versions of Windows. So come May, when Microsoft releases fixes for Windows Vista 7 and 8, the bad guys will look at those and say, I wonder if that problem exists on XP, and most of the time it does. So Microsoft themselves will be letting bad guys know, hey, here's another way you can attack XP. And they'll be doing that every month for the rest of your life. Oh, man. So what do? Well, the good news is there are things you can do to make XP safer. And I would even say, and our guru of security, Steve Gibson, says that really Windows XP is safe if you'd use it properly. I'm not sure I'd agree with that, but I do think that there are ways to protect yourself that mean, well, for our last caller, he was saying, well, I can't get a new computer. Should I install Linux? If you're not a sophisticated user, installing Linux is not a good choice. It requires a little care and feeding. It's like saying, well, I've had a cat for years. Can I have a cheetah? They're not exactly the same thing. It requires just a little more expertise. The good news is with a little bit of expertise, but not as much, you can protect yourself on XP. What should you do? Look, listen to me carefully. If you're not willing to do these things, you should get a new computer with a newer operating system, period. But I think you can do all of these things. And we're going to put this in the show notes. How to continue to use Windows XP safely. The number one thing that you could do that's easy is stop using it as an administrator. Start using it as a limited user. This is an easy thing to do. You go into your user control panel and you add a new account. You can name it administrator. That's not a bad idea. Give it a different password. Doesn't matter really, but give it a decent password. Doesn't have to be super strong. Now, log into that administrator account, and your old account, the one with your name, the one you use day in, day out, uncheck the box, let this user administer this computer. Or sometimes you have to, I think actually it says, how should I use this? Limited user or administrative user? Limited user. And the reason is, the bad guys have the same powers you have when they get into your system. So if they get into your system and you're an administrator, they have all power. But if they get into your system and you're a limited user, they can't install new software, for instance. Now, people are going to say, well, but that's a pain. That means I can't install new software. You can't. You have to log in as an administrator. Big deal. Believe me. we should have been doing this all along. According to statistics from Microsoft, 100% of all Internet Explorer-based viruses that were patched last year in Patch Tuesdays would have not been a problem if you'd not been running it as administrator. 92% of all problems in general. So just by using it as a limited user, you're eliminating more than 90% of all the possible exploits. That's good. Number 2, unfortunately, Microsoft has not updated its browser and will not update its browser, Internet Explorer, on Windows XP. Last version was version 8. So you're way behind. Stop using Internet Explorer. That's advice number 2. Google's Chrome is a better browser, and it's the one you should use. You can get it for free from Google. Use it day in, day out. You can't uninstall Internet Explorer, but don't use it for surfing. Surfing is the #1 problem people run into. That's how bad guys get into your system when you're on the internet. If your machine's not connected to the internet, you don't have to worry. And frankly, we probably don't have to worry about those ATM machines because nobody's using them to surf around. Those machines have a very limited use. Nobody's going to sites that are infected with malware, that kind of thing. If you use Chrome, though, that'll make it a lot safer because Google's keeping Chrome up to date. Now, I know somebody said that Google's not updating Chrome for XP. I don't know if that's the case. I'm going to have to research that. If that's the case, use Firefox. But I think Chrome is fine. So that's 2 things that will make a huge difference. And finally, just do the things that we've always said for all users of Windows that are or any computer, the right thing to do. Don't click on links in email. Don't be very careful about where you get software from. Only get it from the original vendor. Make sure that original vendor is reliable and trustworthy. Don't Google how do I get rid of malware and then download the first thing you see. Be smart about it. Keep your virus up to date. All the antivirus companies will continue to update their antiviruses. You do those things, I think you're going to be fine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And wash your hands twice a day. Let me see if Chrome... Yeah, I will get to Java and Flash, because those are real problems. I just ran out of time. No, Chrome support for XP continues through April 2015. And I bet it'll continue past that as well. So that's good because, for one thing, Chrome has its own built-in version of Flash, which Google keeps up to date. That's good. So then you have Flash without having a Flash installed. Use a router, that's true, although nowadays many routers are bad. Hey, Johnny Jet. He got up early in the morning once again.
Hey, look at myself. I just literally rolled out of bed 10 minutes ago.
What time is it?
7:29 a.m. now.
Well, it's not that early.
It's not that bad, but I was out late. And
I saw your Dodgers tickets. How was the game?
That was really exciting.
That hot dog was really revolting.
Oh, not last night. The first night's hot dog, yeah.
What the hell was that?
They call them the All-American Super Dog.
Nobody in America would. It was $40.
$40, but it was 2 feet long, 24 inches.
It was revolting.
And I had to keep telling everyone around me, I go, this is not what they serve in America, people.
Nobody in America would eat that.
They had all these crazy dishes that, that were not American.
So was it a sellout?
Last night it was close to a sellout. There was a few empty seats, but not many. I think a lot of them were sponsors because a lot of them are really good seats.
This is Dodger dog. That is a normal hot dog that is eaten in America.
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty good-looking dog, although I'd be a little careful about eating that.
Yeah. Well,
there is a weird thing, a helmet with slow-cooked meat in it.
It's nachos.
But here, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the most obscene photo I have ever seen. That is a hot dog in there?
Yeah. If you can go to the photo gallery, there's some more. Go scroll down to the bottom.
That is so revolting.
Where you can get some actual sizes. But the fun part about it was that there was a lot of...
Uncle Charlie curveball. I never heard of that.
Either have I.
Can of corn I've heard of.
Yes, me too.
Punch Out I've never heard out either. They're making stuff up now.
That was on the back of each seat.
Yes.
So they're not used to like flying.
They don't know about. That's right. They don't know about foul balls.
They really got a kick out of getting foul balls and being able to keep them.
Oh, and I'm glad they played the which cap game. That's good.
Yep.
I bet they were baffled by that. The girls love Johnny Jet. Okay, Natalie's going to be upset. Yeah, okay. Oh, I want to see this. How they transformed this. It was the Sydney Cricket Ground. Wow. So there's another picture of that gross dog?
Oh, yeah, if you scroll down a couple more.
God, that was disgusting looking.
There it is. The three guys, and then also the girl, pretending she's eating it.
That hurts my stomach just looking at it.
Oh, it's really hurting mine too because I.
Did you eat it?
I ate half of it.
Oh, baseball is the national sport. Not really. I think the national sport is NFL football, but it was.
No,
it was.
No, baseball's a national sport.
Johnny Jet is here, not at his usual time, but that's because he is not at our usual time. It's 7:30 in the morning in Sydney, Australia. Johnny is down there with the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, because they had opening day in Sydney. How was that, Johnny?
That was an amazing experience. I was sitting next to an Aussie friend, and he goes, "This is quite a cultural experience."
Well, some of it was baffling. For instance, the so-called All-American Superdog, which I think $40. It was like 3 feet long. You could see pictures on Johnny's website, johnnyjet.com. So it was fun, though.
Oh my God, it was a great experience. I went the first night to the exhibition game where the Dodgers played the Team Australia, and it was a very, very disappointing show, and not that many people showed up.
Yeah,
so I was skeptical about last night's game, but it was almost a sold out game, and everyone was really into it, and everyone around me, all the Aussies around me, a lot of them knew about baseball and knew the rules, but some of them were also really curious, and they were asking me, and they stayed pretty much to the very end of the game, and
Good.
It was.
What was
this?
Great. What was this was official play, right? This was the opening.
Yeah, it was the very first game of the season. It was 3-1. Dodgers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the second game is today. I'm going to it at 1:00 here, and then the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks jump on Qantas 747s, and they fly back to I guess LA and Phoenix. I'm not going to be
flown
on
those 747s from Qantas. Very comfortable. In fact, Qantas hands out jammies.
I know. You're a business class.
In business class, they give you jammies, and everybody politely gets up, goes to the bathroom in their business suits, and comes back in their jammies. It's so cute.
That's after takeoff, though, usually.
Oh, yeah. You don't during takeoff.
No, you'll see some people who do it.
No, yeah. Oh, come in their jammies, dress in there. But, on those in business class, you can sleep like a baby, and they wake you up.
People get really worried about those long flights. But once especially if you can fly business class, it's like it turns into a short flight.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the Dodgers. And that's why they did it so early, right? They'll have time to recuperate before the rest of the season continues on.
Yeah, I think they have a few days or a week off, but some of the players were not happy. But
I know. In fact, some didn't go, right? They just felt like, we don't want to go.
What was interesting, I think it was one player who said it, and I think what's funny is that most of the crowd was wearing Dodger gear and uniforms.
Good.
But they were cheering for the Diamondbacks. And I'm pretty sure it was because that one comment by the Dodger who said, "Why are we going to Australia?"
Yeah. Dodger blue out there, and you could get a Dodger dog, so that's pretty good. There's nothing like a Dodger dog. And I say that as a Giant fan. I'm up here in Northern California.
And there were plenty of people wearing Giant shirts and jerseys, and also nice. Actually, I've never been to a game where every single person's wearing a different uniform cap.
Where were they playing it? There isn't a. Oh, I see here, Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah, that's a historic field. It's actually the oldest grounds ever to host a baseball game.
Wow.
And they really did a nice job transforming it. And on my website, there's a time-lapse video, which you need to watch, how they transformed it. They spent millions of dollars doing it. and they had to import the clay from San Diego.
Oh, wow. Wow. So fun. So good. Well, that's great. Thank you for representing us down there.
My pleasure. But I got my cousin Artie, who is a big fan of your show.
Oh, good. Hi, Artie.
Probably watching right now. He's been bugging me to do this app that we've been playing on.
Okay.
And he says you're a fan of it too. Quiz Up.
Oh, I love Quiz Up.
So, and I've been playing it a few times myself, and it's a great app to download, free to download, especially if you're traveling and if you're going to be waiting in long airport lines or waiting for your plane and you're kind of bored. So you played it.
Way too much, and unfortunately now everybody knows I'm on Quiz Up, so I have thousands of challenges, and of course everybody wants to play me in tech. And this is a no-win situation. If I win, they go, well, you're the tech guy, of course. And if I lose, they post it on Facebook. I beat the tech guy.
That's funny. I met James Worthy a long time ago, the famous Los Angeles Laker.
Yeah.
And he told me he does not go to the YMCA or wherever and go play basketball anymore because everyone wants to take him on.
And if you win, well, of course. But if you lose, you'll never hear the end of it. So it's a no-win situation.
Well, I played the trivia.
How did you do on that?
Oh, I was killing it the first few times, and then they're matching me up with people from all over the world, and then I got schooled really bad once, and I was like, I'm done. I
have to say that Quiz Up is not a good travel app because you have to have internet connection to play it.
Right, so, but if you're in the airport.
If it's good in the airport, and I've used it in the airport, but don't. This is not a good one for travel. I've got one. Do you want one for travel?
Please, I'd love to hear one.
Oh, you're going to get so addicted. You're going to play the whole way home. When is your flight home?
Tomorrow, and don't give it to me then.
No, I'm going to give you.
I don't want to be addicted.
No, this is a good game. 2048. So we talked before about threes, which is also good. Get threes, but I like 2048 even better. 2048. And there's actually a lot of versions of it, but that's a fun game.
Is this supposed to be a futuristic game?
No, it's not futuristic. You're matching numbers. It's mindless fun that you can't stop. It's like Flappy Bird, only better.
Okay. Oh, and is it available on Android or just
Android, iPhone, everywhere? 2048.
Okay,
and then another good one for Android and iPhone is called Rails, Rails. You'd like that as a travel guy. Your job is to get the trains into the little train station. Not as easy as it sounds. JohnnyJet.com is the website. Go there. You can see all of the video and everything and the pictures from the game. You got another game tonight, huh?
Today, 1 o'clock. And by the way, I'm at this one hotel called the QT, and look what was in my minibar. It made me think of you.
What is it? Emergency bow tie for all former. That's great. So is that in Sydney? QT?
Yeah,
is that what you recommend for Sydney?
A lot of celebrities or rock stars stay here.
It looks really pretty. I'm just looking at the background on your Skype picture. And by the way, they've got good internet there too, and bow ties. What is that?
These are
pickup
sticks.
Pickup sticks. That's a fun game.
And this is the toiletries. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I just called down and I asked the front desk, what are these supposed to be shaped as? And the guy's like, I don't know.
They're triangle, square things. But they stand up.
They're like supposed to oil cans. Yeah,
they do look like a little bit like gas cans.
Shampoo, conditioner. That's driving me nuts. I can't figure it out. I Googled it.
Who has your favorite? Now, you've used amenities in every hotel in the world. Is there one you really like better than others?
I like that Bulgari stuff.
Oh, Mr. Bulgari, fancy.
I like this. I like the smell.
Does diamonds come out when you pour out the
I just like the smell of the shampoo.
Yeah. I like the hotels, and there's a few. The Millennium in New York City, and the Drake in Toronto that have Aveda. And I just have always been an Aveda fan. And then your whole room smells like beautiful dried flowers after you wash your hair. JohnnyJet.com. Follow him on the Twitter at JohnnyJet. We'll see more pictures from the Dodger game today in just a few hours. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Go back to bed now.
Going.
88 Ask Leo. Dick DeBartolo, our GizWiz, is coming up in just a second. Steve in Los Angeles, though, I'm going to try to get you in before the break. You say you have a terrible Netflix affliction. What's the matter?
Yes, Leo, I'm caught in Netflix hell. I'll get to the point. I had internet installed. I don't have regular TV. I love watching Netflix. So I had 6 megabytes coming in on the internet. I found out that was not enough.
Well, it should be enough. The problem is it's not consistent.
Not consistent. So what's transpired is this. I now have 18 megabytes coming into my house, and the internet provider has thrown me over to Netflix.
Yeah. Who's your provider? We're running out of time. Who's your provider?
AT&T.
All right, I'll talk about it in a second. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stay on the line. This is the time lapse of converting the Sydney cricket field to Dodger Stadium. Wow, that's the clay imported from the United States. I'm glad. They're on the clay plane.
That's cool.
You see, it's much bigger, so they have to, I guess they'll have to put up a fence for the home run fence. Oh, yeah, there it goes. Wow, foul poles and everything.
I was wondering about that. That's interesting. I wonder if they brought out, I assume they flew over groundskeepers from the U.S.
Sure, they'd have to.
Yeah, because you can't just let anybody
Ridiculous
do that.
expense. Ridiculous expense.
Special rakers and hosers.
Wow. And then pretty soon people are going to get there because I think they're almost done. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is for his star turn. Direct from Disneyland in beautiful New York, New York, Dick DeBartolo.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Dickie D.
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. What's up?
Doing gadgets as
I should
my
explain
want.
that. Dick DeBartolo is Mad Magazine's maddest writer. That's why you know the name. But he's also a gadget guru. You've seen him on ABC. He does a gadget podcast with us called the GizWiz and joins us every Sunday to talk about fun stuff. What do you got there, Dickie D?
Well, you know, we've done a ton of little Bluetooth speakers for your smartphone, and we've done a ton of little stands for your smartphone. But this little guy is kind of neat. It's called the Boomerang Mini. And it's a stand with built-in stereo speakers. It's Bluetooth.
I thought it was going to be something you could like throw and it would come back to you.
Well, you know what? I tried it. It doesn't come back.
Oh,
so
okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Poorly named.
It almost looks like a pair of headphones. And like you, I never look at the instructions, rarely look at the pictures. And I try to put it on my head, and I said, this is really stupid. And then I opened the book.
It does kind of look like antelope horns, I got to admit. Yeah.
Yes. So you unfold them, and there's a little ridge that your smartphone slides into, and then you slide your smartphone up and down in that ridge, and that'll change the angle of it.
Yeah.
And then with the Bluetooth, when you watch a movie, you have little stereo speakers on either side of your smartphone. Ooh. And this sounds pretty decent for its size. Now, the company also makes something called the Boomerang, which is a bigger version, which is what you would slide an iPad into, or pretty much any tablet, which has even bigger speakers. But what is neat about this, and you can actually kind of wear it around your neck. So you don't wear it over your head like I tried to do, but when you put it around your neck,
it looks like those hearing trumpets that the deaf people used to wear in the turn of the century movies. Eh?
Yes, exactly.
Eh?
Exactly. Except in the turn of the century, they didn't have Bluetooth. I think it was yellow tooth back then.
Just lack of dental care, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can walk around with this as long as you're within Bluetooth range. And what I like about this is if you're waiting for the phone to ring or the postman to ring, you can have music right close to your ears, but still hear everything that's in the room. So the Boomerang Mini is on Amazon. It's $59.99, and that I have heard, and I do like the way that sounds. And the Boomerang I haven't heard, it's probably going to sound even better because it's a bigger unit and bigger speakers, and that's $79.99.
And you don't mind looking like a turn of the century dork with your headphones around your neck?
No. Well, I mean, if someone comes to the door, I'm a techie person.
Hey.
I can't.
Go to GizWiz.biz. That's Dick's website. All the details about this product and every product he mentions on this show and others available there. Also, the What the Heck Is It contest, a close-up picture of a gadget from Dick's vast collection. If you can identify it, you have a chance to win one of 12 autographed copies of Mad Magazine. If you can't identify it, good news, you have an even better chance of winning one of 24 copies autographed by Dick D. Hey, thanks, Dickie D.
Yes, sir.
Stick around. The GizFizz coming up right after the show. Hey, do you want me, Nathan, to do a Carbonite commercial here? Would that be a good time to do that? Or should I just continue soldier on? I want to talk a little bit about Netflix and the issues that Netflix might or might not have. Steve in L.A. says he's upgraded his internet service provider to how many? You said 20 megabits?
18.
18. And that should be enough. Netflix should look great at anything above 3 megabits. The issue is sustained throughput. But I have to admit there's another problem with Netflix, and that is in the case of AT&T and also the case of Comcast, they both offer competing services. And it's my opinion that Netflix is being artificially slowed down by these internet service providers because they want you to buy, in this case, Uverse.
Uh-huh.
So what do you get? 20 megabits should be fine. Does it work better at different times of the day, or is it just not work at all?
Yeah, it works better during the day. At night, I have a problem. And also, when I spoke to Netflix, they told me to connect. I watch it through Roku. They told me to connect my Roku to my router, to my modem. And that should take care of the problem. I did that, and it did not take care of it.
In other words, using a wired connection instead of the Wi-Fi connection.
Correct. And it did not take care of it.
There is one other test that might tell you something, and it's going to cost you, which is that Apple TV and Netflix seem to work better. And the reason being Apple provides the Netflix data from their own data center as opposed to going through the public internet. I think, frankly, that Comcast and AT&T have acted anti-competitively. And in fact, there was some question about that, but we now hear from Netflix. CEO Reed Hastings has written an article that came out on Thursday saying, in fact, Comcast did strong-arm Netflix and say, you've got to pay us for better access to our customers. This is bad news. Now, I was unclear, and I think a lot of us were unclear, if this was just, business as usual, that Comcast was asking for a normal fee. But now we hear from Netflix saying, no, Comcast and AT&T are meddling with our signal. And he singles out both AT&T and Comcast. If that's the case, all you can do, I'm sorry to say, Steve, is complain to the Federal Communications Commission, which has already decided they don't want to have anything to do with it. This is a thorny thing that I don't know if we know the solution to. I have to say, you have enough bandwidth. You're paying for a lot of bandwidth. Netflix should look great. There's no reason for it not to. It could be your equipment, and this is a problem. It's easy for people to pass the buck, and it's hard to tell if they're doing it right or wrong. I would suggest going to speedtest.net and pingtest.net. Those are two different sites that you could both test your speed and test your latency, both of which could cause problems with Netflix. But really, if you have 18 megabits sustained or even close to sustained throughput on AT&T, Netflix should have no trouble. Should have no trouble. Try an Apple TV if you can find one or borrow one and see if it works better. Supposedly, Comcast has improved the Netflix situation because Netflix is paying them. But, I think this is an issue. I think it's a huge issue, massive issue. I'm going to look into AT&T and Comcast and what's going on. I think the fact that Reed Hastings has stepped forward, the CEO of Netflix, and said these guys are holding us up. They're blackmailing us by saying if you want full and unthrottled access to our users, you got to pay us, Netflix. That's bad. Because we, the users, are already paying them for good internet service, and we're not getting it. I don't know what the solution is specifically to our callers' problem, but I got to tell you, it is an issue. It really is an issue. And, we're going to debate this more. We'll talk about it probably tomorrow because I ran out of time today. Don't forget our website, techguylabs.com. That's where all the links to everything I mentioned on the show will be today, including questions and answers and your comments, too. If you've got a better idea or you're having experiences with Netflix you'd like to share, techguylabs.com. Thanks to Heather Hammond, our phone screener, Nathan Staten, our musical director. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week! Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.